Serious people who have been cheated on. What was the red flag that gave it away? Before we start with the first story, please hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated with us. Number 10. A couple of months into dating, she said how much she loved me and that I would be the first partner ever for her not to cheat on. Narrator: he would not be the first. Did we date the same person? My ex told me her red flag was cheating on her partner when she gets bored of the relationship and assured me she would never do that to me, only to do that exact same thing to me. My exact story too. It ended 6 years later when I caught her cheating with a guy from work. But before I figured it out, she was cheating with me on the guy from work who thought I was the ex. In hindsight, best thing she ever did was cheat, because I'd never want to be married to someone that broken in the head. Number 9. She was really hot then cold. She'd ignore me for days, then all of a sudden want to be with me non-stop, then after a while she'd ghost again. I thought she just needed some alone time after we spent so long together, which I understand and appreciated. But I later found out that she would start to be distant when she made contact with someone else, then had this hyper-fixated mini-relationship with them, usually culminating with her cheating. That she'd come back and be all over me, I suspect out of guilt. Then other weird stuff, she'd be really cold on me for a while, she went to some camp as a counselor and was really distant the whole time. Then randomly send me a bunch of naked photos of herself, then not answer my texts because of the bad signal, but by then I had caught on. Those pics were for someone else and I was getting secondhand nudes of my girlfriend from my girlfriend. We didn't last much longer than that. Number 8. Treating me like shit, then being suddenly sweet and interested in my day. Phone was always facing down and hated when I would hold it for any reason. Never wanted sex. Would be in the bathroom for an absurdly long time. There's a lot more. When you've been cheated on as many times as I have, it's like learning another language. Number 7. The big ass icky she had on her neck that our coworkers noticed. Our coworkers were joking around about the kind of weekend we had. Problem was that I didn't give her a hickey. She didn't even deny it when I confronted her about it. To add the hell cherry on this crap Sunday, all of this happened on Valentine's Day. It's why I hate that blasted holiday. Haha, yeah, I found out my ex had been cheating on me on Valentine's Day too. It definitely sucks, but now that I'm in a healthy relationship, I began to love Valentine's Day. I set up lots of stuff to do, kind of my way of taking the day back, so to speak, and to show myself I'm getting over the past cheaters. She was not the first, but hopefully the last. Number 6. I still don't know for a fact that it happened, but I'm almost certain it did now. She made this new friend at work who was super strange, and I just got a horrible and untrustworthy feeling off of them. Me and her weren't in a good place already, and this new friend was giving my ex unsolicited advice and guidance about her life and mental health like 3 weeks into knowing her, which I found incredibly strange. She convinced my ex to cold turkey her medication, which, despite everything that happened between us, is the one thing about it all that truly makes my blood boil to this day. Just absolutely insane behavior. You cannot just cold turkey psychiatric meds. A few weeks later, we got into a big argument about something else, and it got brought up. My ex totally called me crazy and manipulative for insinuating there was something going on with this other person. Anyway, she leaves me in the middle of the day while I'm at work after a 4-year relationship, just ghosts me, spreads all these horrible lies about me that had to get resolved in court. I won too, and totally just changed into an entirely different person I didn't even recognize. Now, a year later, these two have moved away to New York City and gotten an apartment together. They exclusively have photos of each other online. Gee, sure seems like a couple to me. Lol. Number 5. The dead bedroom. It lasted 7 years. Each year was some form of excuse involving some sort of medical issue that would just resolve itself without requiring any sort of medical treatment. The last straw was buying a house in her hometown where all of her childhood friends were a part of a large-ish, for the total population, swinger community. One of my friends from work came up to me while we were on a break and asked me, "How come I never see you at any of Kay's, her best friend and host of 90% of the swinger events, bonfire parties?" I was like, "What bonfire parties?" Their reaction and the look on their face, immediately embarrassed and pitying mixed with horror and fear, told me absolutely everything I needed to know. She had been doing this for years. I was clueless because I was convinced that she was completely loyal. I was in an incredibly difficult and traumatic marriage to my son's mom, my first wife. She committed many felonious acts and was eventually convicted of grand larceny for stealing large sums of money from developmentally delayed adults. She got caught in a sting operation by a joint task force of FBI and county sheriff. I was not involved and only ever spoke with law enforcement over the phone. She kidnapped our grade school child during his recess period, told no one, and ran to her daddy, who lives in the next state over from us, presumably believing that she was safe because she crossed state lines. My take anyway. She received 6 whole days in a county jail and then got her rich daddy to expunge her record. We were divorced a year later and it ruined me. So, I filed for divorce from my second wife immediately and completely lost my shit on her in the comments section. She got the house. I got my dog, my truck, and my trailer and live at my mom's house again. I just turned 50. Number 4. I showed up at her house to surprise her after work, but to my surprise a guy answered the door. Turns out he was her fiancé who was working abroad and had decided to come home early to surprise her also. I had no idea she was engaged. This is such a mind f***. You instantly feel terrible because you realize she has been cheating on you. Then you feel even worse once the factor of been the other guy this entire time sinks in and you get that guilty feeling on top of everything. I know you shouldn't feel guilty since you never knew, but I know I would feel guilty and betrayed at the same time. Sorry you had to experience that. It's tough to even think about from my end. Number 3. My friend that I met online from another state is coming to visit me. Don't come over that night. He wants me to finally watch that one Studio Ghibli film. Name escapes me. Castle in the Sky or something. I was so naive it barely bothered me at the time. It hit me later. It's a pretty good movie though. Love how so many people are really recommending them to try watching the film they know their ex was watching when they cheated on them. Number 2. She had been having an emotional affair with a guy from work, but said she wasn't talking to him anymore. We were on a road trip. She was driving, and I was using her phone for GPS since mine was messed up. She got a text from a phone number about seeing her tomorrow. She tried to play it off like it was a wrong number, but I recognized it was his and called her out on it. A few days later, on the advice of multiple friends, I went to our cell phone company and got a copy of her call logs. She'd been calling him many times over weeks, not to mention how many times he called her. It was always when she'd go on walks by herself at night because she likes the quiet alone time. Yeah, and the selfies she had on her phone of her looking sexy in a bikini or laying on bed were just because she liked how she looked. I can't believe how stupid I was to believe that lying cheater. Number 1. All her girlfriends coming to tell me what she did. Reply. An ex of mine left me at his parents' to go on a date with an old friend. It was straight up a date. He tried to act like it wasn't. I was shocked and crying. His mom came in as I was getting my stuff ready to leave, and she was annoyed, said, "Stop that. You're the one it'll be coming home to. You have no reason to get emotional over who he does what with during the day." He's now married to someone who looks a lot like me, and he was smug when they started dating, and he told me, "Thanks for making me a better man for her. You were right with everything you said about me. I fixed myself for her because of you." By that point I didn't care, just laughed at him saying that. My breaking point with him was when I realized he treated me so poorly. I developed a stress-related hair loss and was missing a quarter-size section of hair. F*** my feelings and mine, sure, but apparently f***ing with my hair is the real deal breaker, lol. Alright folks, that's a wrap for today's stories. If you like more of this, please hit a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can also share your thoughts in the comment below. See you in the next video.